Well, good afternoon. Oh, come on, you could do better than that. Good afternoon. My name is Roland Anglin, and I'm the Dean of the Urban College. It's great to see all of you. We're here to celebrate two members of our community, Bill Bowen and Deirdre Mageean.
Roland, is the mic on?
Can you hear me now? Let's put it up here. Deirdre and Bill are two very special people. It's been a pleasure working with them for the 5 years that I've been here, and I know many of you have worked with them for a number of years. Bill is a brilliant scholar with a clear set of values and instincts that have made him a great teacher and a great colleague. Deirdre coming to us was great. She gave us experience, wisdom, mentorship, and common sense. Deirdre and Bill leave CSU better than they found it. And there's no better definition of leadership. We have a few colleagues who will reflect on Bill and Deirdre's time with us, but I know that so many of you would have wanted to be reflectors. Well, you can. We have a booth over there where you can go and give video reflections, and we'll get it to Bill and Deirdre at a later time. And also, please sign the welcome book. Now I'm going to invite President Emeritus Michael Schwartz to start us off, and we'll follow the order of speakers in the program, and I will be back a little bit later. But President Schwartz, please come up.
This won't take long. I've been given about 5 minutes to talk about Bill Bowen. And of course that cannot be done for several reasons. You grow up in a culture where the 50-minute hour prevails. You are then told 5 minutes. I will tell you this though. It was a happy day for all of us when Bill Bowen decided to earn his doctorate and then join our happy band of academics by the most common standards of the day's world. We are an odd bunch. And we're odd for this reason. We first forego a great deal of income in order to study for something called a terminal degree. And by the way, we got to find other language for that. And we do that for 8 or more years. And then we do that in order to accept positions that cause us to forego even more income for the rest of our careers. Undeterred by that prospect, Bill threw in his lot with the Levin College and Cleveland State University and stayed here for a very long time, going from rock musician to old salt in the process. It's been an interesting career for him. Been a career marked by excellence, maybe a better word is distinction, in the tripartite life of the professoriate, you know, the teaching and research and service stuff. And I've been very privileged to watch him in action in all 3 of those arenas. I've even been thrown into the ring with him on occasion. And I've seen the energy with which his seminars begin and then the energy that just seems to multiply during the duration of the classes he's teaching. And I've seen the patience, and I've seen the insistence on clarity of thought and the modeling of the life of inquiry I've seen the encouragement of his students to set exacting standards for themselves. All of those things that make for excellence in the transmission of knowledge from one generation to the next. And I've seen him draw the sometimes very difficult line between skepticism and cynicism. And he's made a moral point of it for his students. And I've seen him make it clear that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, asking the right question is far more important than having the right answer. In short, I've seen some pretty brilliant stuff in classrooms over my 50-year career in higher education, but I've never seen it all pulled together in one effort the way I saw Bowen do it, and I've seen him do it over and over again. Now, as for his service to the university, suffice it to say that anyone who serves multiple terms as chair of the faculty senate and as advisor to presidents and chairs of boards of trustees has probably fulfilled that duty requirement and then some, which is why he has no central nervous system left. As some Professor Witt has said, university professors are people who are trained to keep a sharp eye out for opportunities to dissent from the conventional wisdom. I will tell you that to preside over a room full of them takes great forbearance, physical stamina, moral courage, and from time to time, even a little foolhardiness, and that's Old Salt Bill. And now, as for his scholarship, I was about to say that a quick reading of his CV makes the point, except that there can be no quick reading of it. It does tend to go on and on. I mean, I've written 2 books and a few journal articles and book chapters with him. I was always the junior author, very junior. It hasn't been easy because with Bill, the words are almost always in English, but the sentence structures from time to time are in German. And it takes a little sorting out. It slows the process down. You don't get into print quickly when that happens, but the fact is that you won't find pot boilers on his list. His contributions are very real. They are very important. As a friend of mine from the University of North Carolina was fond of saying, there ain't no trifling stuff in there. It's all important and it matters. And when toward the end of his career he turned his attention to the very nature of the American university itself in the 2 books, The Chief Purpose of Universities and then in End of Academic Freedom, his was a cri de coeur for the very essence of what we do, for the recognition of the existential threats to it. His has been a plea for the protection of the university's role in the expansion of the vast human storehouse of ideas, the expansion of the vast array of thinkable thoughts over and against those who wish, through whatever means available, to curtail the size of that storehouse and who wish violently, if necessary, to restrict the range of thinkable thoughts. Those 2 books are not the stuff and substance of his professional work. He's a regional scientist. But those 2 books are his valedictory. They're important because they speak to freedom in the very best possible sense of that term. I've often wondered who speaks for the university, who speaks for the university, who speaks for us as an institution in American life. Who defines it and makes its purposes readily understandable? And in those books, Bowen does. It's not too complex. We discover new knowledge, we verify that knowledge, we conserve it, we transmit the knowledge, and where we can find new uses for that knowledge, we do. That's what we do. And that sums up Bill Bowen's lifelong love affair with the idea of the university. Not half bad as a regional scholar either. He's my friend. And I love him dearly. And this university will lose a part of its life force, its chi, as he retires. But it's a university, and insofar as it adheres to the chief purposes, another Bowen will, down the line, probably appear sometime. After all, one thing we all do in these places is reproduce ourselves, hoping for improvements in the species. Perhaps the next one who comes along will use English sentence structures.
Good afternoon. I feel so great to join you today to celebrate the retirement of Deirdre and Bill. President Schwartz just gave a fabulous salute to Bill. And I know Dean Bond, right after me, will have an hour-long salute as well, right, to Deirdre. So I will be brief. I will just say a few words as a colleague, since I worked with both of them very closely. So for Deirdre, I want to say I truly, as a member of your academic leadership team member, I truly enjoy the great teamwork, the inclusiveness of the team, and your sense of humor. Many of you probably remember during that period, we had some major and very challenging initiatives. Those who still remember and those who were here at the time, it included the 4-to-3 conversion, and Deirdre was the one who led the team to implement it. It started before Deirdre joined the CSU, but the implementation of that was under Deirdre's watch. And we also went through program prioritization. Some of you probably remember that. We were categorizing hundreds of degree programs into support category, maintaining category, and then suspension category. And those were very challenging and sometimes very sensitive and emotional projects. It was the great teamwork through Deirdre's efforts, through collectively the teamwork within academic affairs, as well as between academic affairs and the staff and students and faculty, we collectively accomplished those projects successfully. And at the team meetings, I always remember the very relaxed collegial environment. And Deirdre always joked that this is a very inclusive team. When we look around the table, the senior staff members of academic affairs, Deirdre always joked that, look, there are only 1 or 2 actually who were born in the United States. So most of the team members will come from outside and from around the world. And she also made everyone feel at home. And whenever you had opinion or comments, you feel like your comments and opinion were really valued and taken into serious consideration. And her sense of humor especially made the meeting discussions, sometimes even if it's a very contentious topic, less stressful. I'll just give you 2 examples. One time somehow in the discussion we got into the back pain topic, and Deirdre immediately began to show us how to do a plank properly during the senior staff meeting, right in the office there. I don't know, Deirdre, if you still remember that. And Deirdre was also the one who taught us how to pronounce Jersey's name properly. So I want to make sure this is done right, so I Googled up on yesterday when I was preparing my notes, trying to learn a little bit more, what does Jersey really mean in Polish? And it surprised me to find out that it's the English equivalent of Georgia. How many of you know that? I didn't know that until yesterday. So Deirdre, you really made everyone feel at home. and feel as a welcome team member. So I truly enjoy that, and I also enjoyed your humor, which made a lot of serious discussions less stressful. I remember one time you were telling me about your experience in North Carolina when a gentleman approached you, felt like in the conversation, but you had really a heavy accent. And you told the gentleman, said, no, sir. I don't have an accent. You have an accent. Because those who live in the South probably know. I lived in Mississippi for 11 years, so we also know there are differences in local dialect. So for Deirdre, we truly appreciate, I really appreciate your leadership and the inclusiveness of the team and your sense of humor. For Bill, I want to say, you really come across to me as a very strong faculty advocate. You are a deep thinker, and as the President Schwartz mentioned, that you ask interesting and deep questions, and you sometimes get me really think about the issues at hand. And during our collaborations, we also went through some very difficult period of time, and just give 2 examples. One is a matter of like 2 weeks. We have to take our over 2,000 classes to remote delivery. And that is a tremendous undertaking. But with your effort, work with the Faculty Senate, we get things going. And CSU at the time was the only public university in the state that had a joint statement from Faculty Senate, both AAUP unions and administration, to express that we are a single team. We're going to do everything we can to maintain our quality of instruction, to keep our students' progress toward the graduation, and to make sure we overcome various difficulties and challenges. We did a lot of things that we never done before, and for that, I'm really grateful. And you have been giving advices and the feedback from faculty, sometimes not very flattering. And you have been really straightforward to tell me what faculty have been thinking about and what we should do to respond to that. And it is your efforts that as a bridge between the faculty and the academic leadership and the university administration that helped us to hear the faculty concerns quickly and take that seriously and address them timely. So for that, I'm really grateful, and it has been a great working relationship. And other than that, I sometimes really was surprised thinking about Bill. I, as a full-time administrator at the time, ran into all kind of meetings with Bill. So he was even busy in terms of service work than a full-time administrator working on helping the community, the faculty, and the university administration. Yet he continued to do his teaching, his scholarship. And I was surprised to find out that he also have many other activities. One time I called him, I believe you are in a garage with a band or something, playing instruments. And from time to time, he would tell me he had a vacation. And I was really jealous. And I just wonder, how could he balance all these activities and still find the time to have a regular vacation? And look at the hat, the cap they have. One time he told me they chartered a yacht and spent some time in Mediterranean or some other places. I meant to ask you to figure out how we're going to do that, because I was thinking about doing that with my wife too. But time flies, boy, I never get a chance to ask him about that. And now comes the retirement. So the question is, what's your plan after retirement? Are you going to charter a spacecraft to the moon, or it's going to be heavy to carry those in spacecraft to the moon, to rock on the moon? So, but with all that, in conclusion, Bill and Deirdre, we truly greatly appreciate your leadership, your service, your scholarship, and we wish you all the very best as you start the next chapter in your life. Thank you.
Okay, next. Where's Deirdre? I don't even see you here. Put your hand up, Deirdre. There you, oh, there you are, over there. Okay, all right. Okay, How do you capture, in one word, everything that is Deirdre Mageean? Do you think that's possible? Well, for starters, I decided to give it a try. The best word I could find was erudite. Now, does this describe Deirdre? Let's see. Erudite means learned, knowledgeable, cultured, perceptive, urbane, scholarly, wise, eloquent, engaging, witty, thoughtful, insightful. Yep, that's Deirdre, all right. So, in fact, since the moment that Deirdre joined us at Cleveland State as provost a few years ago, she has epitomized everything that an academician strives for and more. Let's look at it this way. Cleveland State would not be where it is today if Deirdre Mageean had not stepped onto the stage. I just got a message this past week from a mutual friend, a friend that I think Scott knows and a good friend of Deirdre's and mine. And this individual said she's thrilled to know that Deirdre will be celebrating today. She extends every best wish, and her name, Scott, is Clara Rankin, who is going to turn 104 next week. A great friend. Now, I heard that very soon Deirdre is going to be summering in her house on the ocean in Deer Isle, Maine, eager to pick that wonderful crop of wild berries, wild Maine berries. So this made me think about a poem from Deirdre's countryman, Seamus Haney. Late August, given heavy rain and sun, for a full week, the blackberries would ripen. At first, just one, a glossy purple clot, among others, red, green, hard as a knot. You ate the first, and its flesh was sweet like thickened wine. One more thing, and I think we've heard this theme when we were just listening to Jianping tell us about Bill. Here is hoping. You have to come up here for a moment, Deirdre. Come here. So what we're saying is, here is hoping in your retirement that you will take up again one of your great loves. Here you go. Very, very expensive gift. Yes, sir. That was my new boat.
Hi, everybody. It's great to go fifth where all the good material has been chewed up already. So I'm going to comment a little bit both on Bill and Deirdre from a personal perspective as a colleague, since I'm now department chair, but I've been with Bill. I'll start with him. For 32 years, we started in the same back-to-back offices in this empty lot here, which was the old urban building with the 4 commercial townhouses with terrible air quality. And Bill came to us from SPIA in Indiana. Bill is obviously a smart guy. He can talk like Einstein, swear like a sailor, and you should see him how much he loves his students and his kids. I mean, he's a great guy. He talks all those languages, all the high-level stuff. So we both lived in Cleveland Heights for about a dozen years or so. We both got divorced and remarried about the same time there in Cleveland Heights and created some blended families together. So that was a nice adventure. And you've heard Bill is a musician, but Bill and I have played music at my house, my other house, your other house, with the old kids band. In this room we played music once. I think we had a little concert here. So anyway, Bill's an accomplished guitar player. You should hear him do a couple licks. Very good flexibility. Plays the keyboards too. Anyway, as you heard, Bill was the faculty senate president twice. That's really a glutton for punishment, but thanks so much for your service. Those are rough times, and when you do that, then the rest of us can do our jobs. Bill has 2,400 plus Google citations. That is the most of anybody in this department. So that's a very impressive number. Okay, so he's had a long career, 32 years, but that's still a lot of citations. And he's also birthed 20 PhD students as chair of their committees, and 30 total, including being a reader, and he's run our PhD program for a number of years as well. So he's sailing off on his boat with his lovely wife, Chi-Chi, not Chi, but Chi-Chi, who's a retired professor. You pre-retired Bill by a year or so from the psych department at CSU. And they're going to be berthed just down south of D.C., about a 5-hour drive on their 44-foot yacht. And Bill's going from department leader to co-captain of that ship. And you can tell by the hat. So I'll be the first to salute you both, since that is a salute, and nobody saluted you yet. So, Deirdre. Deirdre's a demographer. She came to us from Ireland, and she was educated in Belfast, York, and the Open University in sociology and geography. And she came to us from Maine, and she had progressively responsible positions in Maine and Eastern Carolina University and here at CSU. She's been a provost for over 15 years, and that's a lot of service. And she was our PRC, our Personnel Review Committee chair, one of the most important faculty department chairs here, and she's been a wonderful colleague. And when I decided to accept the position of department chair, I was counting on her to help me be an advisor, so she's like my rabbi, my Catholic rabbi, to help me with the advice. And she's moving to Tucson, Arizona, and I know she's going to continue to teach for us. And we made a decision as to which semester she wanted to teach in. It was going to be the spring, but she had better internet in Tucson than she would in Maine, where she's going to be chasing blueberries and being a little bit off the grid. So that's all I've got. I'll pass the cudgel to Wendy Kellogg.
I knew this would happen, that I'm the last person, and Roby stole my joke. Well, I'll say it anyway. At the peril of being last, as all the really profound things have already been said, but I do have a few small contributions. And Meredith, you also stole my other opener. What are the words that I would use to describe both of these people? Perseverance, humor, integrity, stewardship, and creativity. I've known them in different contexts, so let me tell you a little bit about my impressions. Deirdre, it's been a real pleasure for us to have you as a colleague on a day-to-day basis in the Department of Urban Studies the last few years. First, because your prior experience at the highest levels of the university helped guide our leadership team through several critical periods and opportunities. Secondly, for me, because I always have loved hearing about your life experiences in Belfast. We share many fond memories about traveling in Ireland, and I've only been there once, but I can't wait to go back. And this is in Deirdre's honor. It's a scarf from Newgrange. It is one of the most famous places in Ireland. After growing up in Belfast, not much could disorient you, Deirdre, from commitment to family and colleagues. And I'm so happy that you could join us. I have very much admired, and I'm sure my colleagues as well, how you turned a somewhat difficult situation into a real contribution to the university, to our curriculum and our students. You dove in as a full professor in the routines of an academic department, teaching undergraduates, designing new courses, serving with distinction on our diversity council. Your dedication to our students and your willingness to help them succeed has been exemplary. I have taken much inspiration from your capacity to make the best of the situation, and I thank you for that. We will miss you. If you ever need to be near water after living in Arizona, come back for a visit on your way to Maine. We have some water here too. As for Bill, I've really had a difficult time sorting out my thoughts and feelings about your role in the college and what I could say. Of course, having you as a colleague and a friend all these years has been a privilege, and I have always greatly appreciated the time that we talked about our kids and what they were doing and not doing and all of that as they were growing. You have always offered sage advice to us about navigating the trials and tribulations of university life. Your service to the college and the university is without equal, in my view. You are one of the smartest people I have ever known, you and Dr. Kaufman, both of them. And you can always be counted on to ask questions that go to the core of a situation, be it quantitative methods in faculty candidate interviews or university governance. Your stewardship of the doctoral program has been steadfast, and when I was chair and as a colleague, I was happy to support that dedication in whatever way I was able. I'll never be able to adequately express my thanks to you for our conversations about this department and the college and its future. You have believed in this place as an institution and in all of us as its stewards. You have been such an important part of our department. I honestly don't know how to envision it without you. I wish you the best of paradise as you cruise around the ocean in your yacht. We will miss you.
And now the honorees get to say their piece. So why don't we have Deirdre come up?
So if I may, fáilte agus go raibh míle mai agat. The rest of this talk will be in Gaelic. Bob Martell will be firing subtitles. No, seriously. President Bloomberg, Provost-elect Sridhar, and Dean, and all my fellow former Dean friends, thank you very much for this. I'd really hope to just sort of, fade into the shadows and just maybe go down to Parnell's with some of my buddies for some Redbreast and Guinness, and alas, that was not to be. I did note something unusual, because as you know, demographers count things, that we actually have 4 prior or current provosts here in this room. Three prior and I suppose 1 elect, right? I don't know if there's a collective term for provosts, a pod of provosts, a pandemonium of provosts, maybe some faculty members would think that more apropos, a gaggle, yeah, perhaps a gaggle, you're right. Well, Tip O'Neill said that a week was a long time in politics. Apparently it is in academia too. At times recently we've looked like Game of Thrones on fast forwards. But anyway, things change. That is the order of the day. And I found it funny, I had lunch with Nicomonth earlier this week, and I think, Nicomonth, do you remember, when I came here, I was the provost, and you were the faculty member. Now, you are the provost, and I am the faculty member. So that really speaks about the dynamics of academic life. Anyway, I noted that it's 50 years since I entered a university for a life sentence. I started as an 18-year-old at Queen's University Belfast, the hollowed Gothic structure of Queen's University, and here I am 50 years later, about to leave a great public university in Cleveland. Those are the bookends of my career, and in between there's been a lot happened. You alluded to Belfast, Meredith. It certainly was interesting times. Between 72 and 75, more people died than at any other time in what we euphemistically call the Troubles. 3,000 people dead is a bit more than that. But the university was a refuge. Interestingly, I originally thought of doing medicine, following in sort of family footsteps, but the chaos, the enmity, the sadness, everything that was going on really begged me to understand the human condition more. And Michael would appreciate that. So I signed up for joint honors in sociology and philosophy. And it has served me well, including symbolic logic, which I understood now as the beginning of computer language. I loved it, had no idea what it was for. There was a lot of nice people at Queen's when I was there. Kieran Hines, who's an actor, was a patient of my father's, was the same year. Liam Neeson, you may have heard of him. Seamus Heaney was teaching poetry. And the former, to-be president of Ireland was 2 years ahead of me. So we were pretty good. But the main thing was that the learning I got there. In fact, I've been the beneficiary of great education all the way up from elementary school. And it really was there when I had to do my honors thesis that I caught the research bug. And the rest is history, as they say. But starting doing a whole summer's field work on the impact of the North Sea oil on an island community, very isolated and culturally distinct, called the Shetland Islands, was quite an experience. And as I say, that really got me started. By the way, Irving Goffman, that some of you may have heard of, right, Michael, supposedly did his PhD thesis on the Shetland Islands. And I read it on microfilm from the Michigan film, as you all know. And when I got there, I didn't recognize it at all. So I think he made it all up, Michael. Who knows? who knows? But, you know, I was lucky that I was able to enjoy a great life as a faculty member and as a researcher, and then one day I was asked to be the dean of the graduate school. I call myself an accidental administrator. Actually, I think all administrators should be accidental administrators. Nobody should really plan to be a university administrator. Sadly, some do, and it doesn't work out well. But I mean, it's interesting. You become an accidental administrator, and I think you enter it because, like I always say, I don't look for these things, but if the door opens, I'll look through. And if I think I can do the job well, and if I can do good, then I will do it. And I have to say, being dean of a grad school and then a vice chancellor for research, the two best jobs in the university, I'm afraid to say, President Bloomberg, but I really think they are. Oh, and a director of a public policy center, the Margaret Chase Smith Center. They really were great jobs, and I always felt that you were making a contribution. When I didn't go into medicine, one of the things that sort of plagued me, and I mean this, I mean, I would get real angst over this sometime, was, am I doing any good? I mean, there's so much suffering and despair and other things in the world. Am I doing any good? You know, I could watch my father and uncle and other cousins, you know, in dentistry or medicine, alleviate pain, put people out of their suffering, you know, tell them things that were not going to be as bad as they thought. And I thought, I'm just not doing any good. I think I'm too removed from the immediate needs of things. But I think I did eventually reconcile the fact that through the applied kind of research that I did, be it looking at childhood hunger in Maine, or infant mortality as we're doing here, or I was ahead of appropriations requests when we had the gravy train back then for both Maine and for East Carolina University. And East Carolina University, within a 100-mile radius, has more military camps than I think any other university. And we were uniquely placed because of a medical school, a dental school, a PhD in marriage and family counseling, all kinds of things that we could help in a holistic way the troops coming back from all the wars that we seem to get into. And I gave it a name, and I called it Operation Reentry, because as you know, the military like giving names to things. And I called it Operation Reentry in recognition that you don't heal physically if you can't heal mentally, and vice versa. And we put this all together, and I got $12 million, thanks to Libby Dole. So eventually I became sort of reconciled to the fact that one can do good. And you certainly see it in the Levin School, and you certainly see it at Cleveland State University par excellence. The dedication and the engagement, we take all those words so seriously here in Levin and do it so superbly well. So that was, you know, I do feel, now looking back, I can feel some pride and contentment in what I have done. But as you know, Bill and I are both old salts. So I am a sailboat sailor and had a nice 35-foot sailboat, Pearson, down in North Carolina. Bill is getting twin turbine engines in his. We are what are referred to as rag boaters, and we call them stink potters. You see, we have great respect for one another. But there's one thing particularly about sailing, but boating in general. It's a team sport. If you have a 35-foot boat, it's more than one of you can handle. And I may have been the vice chancellor for research there, but I had my buddies there, and we were a good crew. So you need a good crew. I've always recognized the fact that you need a good crew, and you let them do the things that they can do extremely well. But the other way in which it's a metaphor for life is, you know, you set out, and you are at the mercy of the elements. You say, this is the course. We want to be at such a place by 4 p.m. But if you've got a sailboat and not twin turbine engines, sometimes the wind is favorable, sometimes the wind gods just leave you sitting there in the doldrums, and you're sort of impotent, and then you have to fire up that old diesel engine. Sometimes you get blown off course. Sometimes you hit a storm. Sometimes you have to take shelter. So it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you have to tack. And I think, what a metaphor for life, especially in academia. You know, you have to be flexible, you have to adjust, and it takes all of you to get safely into port. That's certainly what the sailing is. So I look back and I feel happy, and I have to say, sorry, President Bloomberg, but somebody said to me, I won't say who it was, did you get $1 million to step down? And I said, no, I got something much, much better. He said, well, what's that? I said, I got all my colleagues in the Levin College. They have been great. And you know, they are fantastic colleagues. you know, when you've been on the dark side, sometimes people look at you a little bit, but they welcomed me with open arms. I said, just tell me what to do, what do you need? And we just set in, and it was just so easy. I cannot think of anything that was so easy. They have been so good. I've enjoyed talking to them. We're a completely interdisciplinary bunch, you know, here. We are geographers, we are economists, we are political scientists, we are public administrators. Have I left anything out? Oh, we have a historian in Bob Gleason, right? And I think because of that interdisciplinary nature, we have great respect for one another, and we gel well. We're like pieces of a great jigsaw puzzle that's when put together, paint a wonderful picture. So I want to thank them in particular. I want to thank all my fellow deans and has-deans, we used to call us everywhere, and the whole staff at Academic Affairs. As Jianping said, it was a great team. We had a lot to do, and we did a lot, and we did it by working together. But it wasn't just a team in Academic Affairs. We could not have gotten 4-3 and those other things through had it not been for the great faculty senate and faculty members. And I particularly want to thank Joanne Goodell and Nigama Sridhar, and a couple of the committee chairs who were invited here, but the English department has another meeting. So Jeff Karam, Jim Marino, and Billy Castellas. And there's no way anything would have happened. I think, Billy, we nearly sent you to an early grave with the amount of stuff. They were heads of university curriculum committee administrators. It was a great team, and we would sit down each week, equal partners, and we got this done. I was amazed, gratified, and to me, it was just a great lesson. So, you know that, I will just leave you with this in Gaelic, which is Slán go fáil agus an tovar air, which means farewell, good friends, and good luck. Thank you.
A little humbling, very humbling, actually, like unbelievably humbling. I want to start by thanking my wife, who I could not have done what I did without. It's just, I came here without her, and I can't even begin to express my appreciation and respect and admiration for you and everything you've done for our kids and our who showed up here today. It's pretty amazing, and my friends, and thank you. This has been a phenomenal experience all the way through since I came here. For the most part, I found my first lecture. I was upstairs cleaning out my office, and I found a copy of the first lecture I ever gave from 1982. So it's been 40 years. And I was talking about stuff I didn't know anything about then. I didn't know anything about then, just like I do now. But it was fun. I came here because I was attracted by the fact that it was an interdisciplinary program, and it's always been like that. And it was truly like that. So I've been able to publish in political science and public administration and policy and psychology and geography and all these different fields, planning, computer science, operational research. I mean, I've just been able to publish in all sorts of fields in good journals, and it's all counted. There wasn't anybody telling me that that didn't count, that it was not good, and it's been such a liberating experience to be able to do that, and to do it at a place where I've always felt good about being here, because I think some people just aren't born into the right census tract, and we've had an opportunity. We have opportunity here to give people opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have. And I think when you're in an interdisciplinary program like this, you can use your intellect in the service of your community rather than in the service of your discipline. And I've always been very, very gratified by that opportunity. I've met wonderful people. I've been inspired by wonderful people. I mean, yeah. It's been really, really good, and I got real mixed feelings about it. I'm glad I have two engines and I don't have just a sail on my boat. Although it's a pretty good metaphor, Deirdre, I thought. But it's not like when you got engines on your boat that you don't deal with storms, or you don't deal with, you still got to have a good crew. But anyhow, I'm not going to talk anymore because I don't have anything really else to say. But thank you all so very, very, very much.
Okay.
I just want to welcome President Bloomberg. She's going to give us some words of reflection. And so, President Bloomberg.
There is something very humbling, audacious even, to stand here as such a brand new president and a relatively new Clevelander, and to say to these two revered colleagues, thank you for your service. And yet, I say it really sincerely. And I say it sincerely because this year I have had the opportunity to hear so many stories from people who cherish Deirdre and who cherish Bill and who talk about the work that they do. And I know fully in my core that you are retiring from a very, very grateful university. It's true. And I also know in my core that you have changed lives because of what you have done here. And I hope you take that with you in a comforting kind of way, to know that the impact that you have had will last for generations. Before I came over here, I started to just make a list of what I know of your publications and the work that you've done. And Bill, you just touched on it in all of the things that you've studied and published in. And between the two of you, I gave up on the list because it would have taken me forever. But we listed demography, spatial analysis, urban data, academic discourse, freedom of speech, freedom of ideas, urban affairs, public policy, public administration, shared governance, central administration, and the list goes on. Part of me was thinking about a comment by that very erudite philosopher, Lily Tomlin, who said, I always wanted to be somebody. I see now I should have been more specific. But in fact, the range of what you have done, what you have studied, and how you have led, and how you have contributed signals the very finest of the academy, a curious mind, an insatiable appetite for truth, for finding a deeper meaning, for finding a greater truth, and for finding our common ground. And to leave that kind of legacy is something for which you both should be very, very proud. There's one more thing that I want to share with you today. In December, my first commencement at Cleveland State University, this institution was wise in deciding to confer an honorary doctorate on a remarkable member of this community, Scott Mueller. Some of you might know him from Dealer Tires. Some of you might know him from his remarkable art collection. Some of you might know him as a remarkable and generous philanthropist in this community. I now also know him as a dear, dear friend of Bill Bowen in a very personal and special way. And before we close today, I would like to invite Scott up to share a message.
You know, you guys have heard all the amazing different things that Bill has done, you know, rock musician, logistics in the Navy, professor, researcher. But one thing you might not know is for a while during college, to pay for his college, he trained and fed and took care of a group of wild cats. And I mean tigers, lions, cheetahs, and leopards. And when he told me that, I was like, you did what? And now I realize how he'd applied it, you know, being head of the Senate. If there's ever the train, if there's ever the experience to herd cats, you have it. You know, as you know, Bill is a brilliant guy, and oftentimes, you know, when I leave him, I think to myself, boy, he's the smartest guy on the planet. Now, which planet? I'm not sure. But, you know, I have been so fortunate to have Bill and Cheech as friends and know their kids. And he touched not only his students, but his work has touched the world. And he touched a lot of young men and the Boy Scouts throughout Cleveland, including my own child. And it made, you know, such a difference. And Bill touched me in so many ways, because every time, seriously, I leave him, it makes me think and wonder and contemplate. And that type of friend makes you a better person. And so when I heard Bill was retiring, I wanted to find a way to at least show him that thanks and figure a way to, in a way, show him my appreciation for all he has done. So with that, I think we can...
Scott Mueller, in honor of your retirement, is making a $1 million gift to start the Bill Bowen Fellowship in Doctoral Studies in Urban Affairs. On behalf of a very speechless and verklempt Bill, and on behalf of a very grateful university, we thank you for your generosity. Thank you so very much. And back to you, Dean Anglin.
Wow, there's no way to follow that, so I'm not even going to try. Please stay and enjoy some food, fellowship, and wish our friends in the next stage of their lives well. So thanks all for coming. Again, we're closed.